I just had sex with Velma and I liked it.
Get your clothes on and let's go.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and a lot of people are talking about this Velma show, which is sort of a shame because the show is terrible. So the quick, too long didn't read version of this video is it's an awful show. It's an awful show, and everyone could have seen that coming. It subverted zero expectations. I mean, I got to hand it to you. I did say at the beginning of the year, it'd be nice if we stopped trying to subvert expectations. Just deliver either what people expect or just be straightforward with what you got. Don't subvert any expectations. There's no expectation subverted with Velma. If you had any expectations that you were getting anything different than exactly what you got, then you're clearly not paying attention to anything. Because I mean, even the little thumbnail piece of art in HBO Max, when you see it, you know what you're in for. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, everything can be excused, but it does change things a little bit. I think, I've listened to a lot of different people's takes on this show, and I think you almost got to segment the different things off. First of all, it's an amazing and miraculous show in that nearly everyone hates it. Doesn't matter which side you're on of the culture war, people just hate this show. The SJWs hate it, the non-SJWs hate it, the people who are adjacent to anti-SJWs hate it, the adjacency to people who are vaguely aware of social, everybody hates this show. The only people I found who seem to like it are trolls on Twitter. And when I say trolls, I mean people who their only form of enjoyment and entertainment seems to be poking at other people and getting them pissed off and getting ratioed, because that's what's happening to the different people who post this stuff. It's amazing. I went down this weird rabbit hole as an aside, and I understand this may date me. Who knows? But I was looking at some of the people who are vigorously defending Velma. And I was just looking in the past. I had this suspicion that if I looked further back in their timeline, they would be vigorously defending all kinds of controversial stuff. And sure enough, several of them list themselves as Amber Heard stans. Several of them talk about if they are into comic books, then definitely New Mutants by Vita was the best comic they've ever read in the history of all comics. I mean, it was like a bingo card with one individual who had the very best Storm comic ever written was that issue of New Mutants during 10 of Stores. It was the best characterization of Storm ever. And also, it had Fight Club is a movie about white supremacy. It had Velma is the best show in the entire history of the world. Amber Heard is the best actress in the history of the world. I mean, just you went down the list, and it was just a pile of trolling nonsense. But here's the other part that was weird: is in almost every single bio, the person of all these different people, lots of different people. Almost all of them, and I'm saying like 90% of them, listed themselves as autistic. They put autistic in the bio, as well as having the triple pronoun. Now the triple pronoun is where it's not just like he, him, or they, them, or anything. It's like he, they, their. You have three in there, and there was just it was weird. It was just on the nose every single time. The people who were for that, but I watched the show. I didn't enjoy it, but I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. So it did temper it a little bit. I didn't leave feeling angry. I didn't feel like I'd been personally insulted. I was prepared for a show that was going to be a big mouth level of comedy. And what I was most struck by in that show was how unfunny it was. There's a new style, I guess, to a lot of the animated shows that are coming out where every line has to be a joke. All of them. There are no kind of just, lines like, hey, what are you doing to set up the punchline? There's no setup. Every line has to be a joke. And not a good joke, but like, like an irreverent kind of a reference to some, previous decade, it's self-deprecating about the bad jokes. Like character will sit there and go, in comes Fred. And character will go, where's the beef? I guess right there is something I would say if I was being ironic, which I'm not. And you're like, what? Who is this show for? Their show is for nobody. But, again, of all the takes that I've seen and different people commenting on this, the thing that strikes me about this show is how predictable every single piece of it is. And I guess first off, Scooby-Doo. Is it a popular show? Yeah, it's actually one of the top 12 grossing cartoons, and it's had many seasons, multiple decades, lots of different tie-ins. It's a very well-known show. Now, I don't know if Scooby-Doo is anyone's favorite show. Like, I think that there's some people saying, you ruined my childhood with this Velma show. Ruined your childhood? You got a pretty snowflake of a childhood if it's ruining your childhood, because it's easy not to watch this show. It's actually very easy to avoid it. This show is not going to get massive merchandising deals. You're not going to be driving into your local Whataburger and it's going to be like sponsored by Velma. You're going to be able to avoid this show pretty easily if you want to. But I don't think Scooby-Doo, again, people liked it. I was not a fan of Scooby-Doo. I always hated the kind of repeating background animations. It always felt cheap to me. And there are aspects of it that it just felt stupid as a kid. And this is before Scrappy do any of the other crap, but to me, it always felt like kind of the show they didn't put much attention to. I was like, who can understand kid logic? But, I was ready for Transformers. I was into Thundercats. I liked those. I liked, I did like G.I. Joe back in the day. There was lots of cool cartoons to enjoy. I even like Silverhawks, and nobody likes Silverhawks. But anyway, I like these cartoons. But Scooby-Doo always felt like a kind of just lame to me. But regardless of all that, it is a very well-known, very, very popular cartoon. And I'll give a different perspective on the whole debate of like, well, why are you mad though? Kind of, argument that is struck. Scooby-Doo, for the majority of its life, has been for kids. In almost every single iteration, other than that porn version, and actually there's probably been 2 or 3 of them, they're all for kids. And so to me, you're putting out this cartoon and you're like, hey kids, do you like Scooby-Doo? You do? Do you like cartoons? You do? Do you like mysteries? You do? All right. Do you like shows that discuss the in-depth topics of systemic racism, class warfare, will educate you on what a blumpkin is and other various sexual proclivities of the characters? Does that excite you, kids? It doesn't. Huh. I had no idea. Why? I think when you take something that for the majority of its life, and it's been 98% of its life, 99% of its life, it's been a kid show, and now you're going to make an adult twist on it. I don't know. I am not one of the people who are like, this is some secret plot to groom all the kids, but I am one of those of like, can you really be surprised that there's, outrage, even if somebody, it wasn't their favorite show of all time, Scooby-Doo? Can you really be surprised when you take a cartoon that's been a kid's cartoon for the vast majority of its life, you turn it into a apparently show for autistic people, and you make bad jokes, and you have the characters, you race and gender swap characters, and you have them making out with each other, and you have, you're constantly talking about like, Fred's tiny dick and other things. I mean, and then people are like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't a kid's cartoon. You're like, I never said it was. Well, that's true. And like I said, it was very clear from the offset that this wasn't going to be a kid's cartoon. But what do you expect? I wish there was a new trick to pull out of the bag. I'm tired of the trick of, hey, what if we take something that was a somewhat innocent kids cartoon and then we made it super dirty and horny, and then we act surprised when people are upset by that. It's like, is there a new trick? Do you have a new trick? It feels like all of this is a result of, somebody's like, hey, did you realize that some of the animators who worked on Little Mermaid, they made one of those underground rocks look like a dick. And that's pretty funny. What if we did an entire cartoon series where we just put dicks out there? We didn't even try and hide them. Rather than write sex in the clouds in The Lion King, why don't we just do a remake of Toy Story? But in this one, Woody and Buzz are just reaming each other and constantly, and Little Bo Peep educates the kids on what rimming means. Like, on some level, can you can you come up with a new trick? Because by and large, I mean, I've got 2 kids, and like I said, I am not having any trouble as a parent hiding them from Velma. My younger one came in and saw the preview for Velma, not it playing, just the thumbnail screen on the HBO Max. And I'm like, hey, you have any interest in this? And she's like, she takes one look at it. She's like, no, that looks terrible. They know. It's not hard to hide this stuff from your kids. I mean, unless you're a really shitty parent, but it's not hard. But at the same time, what is the point here? Is the point that the adults are supposed to kind of remember what it was like to be kids? They're like, hey, we're going to give you your Scooby-Doo back from when you were a child in your broken home, and except this time they're going to fuck, and that now that you're a grown up, that's going to be funny for you. I mean, no, not really. In the end, yeah, the show's terrible. The show is weirdly hated by everybody, again, except for random weirdo trolls. But I don't know. I guess I'm just sick of this whole genre of nonsense. And again, if you really want to see Daphne and Velma make out and be naked, there is porn for that. There's actual porn. You can just go. You can go to that. Did anyone need Mindy Kaling's career to get a 18th chance at them making a cartoon? I mean, is it weird that I've had arguments with people who defend, like, she's one of the funniest people on the planet. I don't know. I was a fan of the British Office more than the American Office. It's just me. I liked Ricky Gervais. I thought it was funny. I thought all the characters were a little funnier over there. But to me, Mindy Kaling kind of peaked as kind of the ditzy, snobby bitch in Office who was dating that weird, intern crook. And that's I haven't seen anything since then that has been at all entertaining. So anyway, Velma. It exists to piss people off, I guess. The funny thing is, it will get another season purely because it got so much outrage, and it's going to continue to get seasons until people wake up and go, I don't need to talk about this anymore. I've gotten out of my system. I've blocked it. It's easy to avoid, and the show just sucks. And I mean, it will get there. I think at least half the audience will lose interest pretty immediately. I think it's about to, half the audience is just that's angry about it. Won't be angry for long. They're going to move on to other things, and the other half may still bring it up, but I mean, who cares? Anyway, maybe you're loving Velma. No judgment. Please explain why. But more importantly, does anybody else hope that we're kind of at an end of the let's take a childhood cartoon and just make it super horny? And then that'll be hilarious. Because has it ever been hilarious? I don't know. I admit laughing a couple times at Drawn Together, the first season, but even that one got old pretty fast. Like it's just there's just the one joke, the joke of, hey, here's these characters who are super innocent in that thing you watched when you were a kid, and now they're lesbians. Funny, right? I don't know. I guess wake me up when we get the grown up super horny Pokemon where Ash Ketchum is actually fucking all of the animals, and we'll talk about that then. Thanks for listening.